What does it mean to be a good citizen? Is it waving a flag on the 4th of July or donating a couple of cans of tomato soup to a canned food drive?
Citizenship is being a legal citizen of a particular country. It involves responsibility to that particular country. And you have certain responsibilities you have to fulfill, and you also have rights as a citizen of that country. In addition, citizenship involves following the laws. We all have responsibilities to our communities, which cannot be ignored, and we have to put ourselves behind our community.
Michigan youth, ages 12 to 21, took a year to explore concepts of citizenship in their communities. Members of this group, the Civic Education Youth Advisory Committee, met to compare their experiences, brainstorm, and present their recommendations for improving civic education to a panel of state education and civic organization leaders. They began by asking questions like, is citizenship taking advantage of your right to vote when the time comes?
In 5th grade, our whole elementary had this mock election during the Clinton Dole campaign. And so we all voted, and of course I voted for Ross Perot, so I wasn't very popular, but
and the rest is history.
It was just, and it really got me involved just to see even though we couldn't legitimately vote, we were voting and seeing how that worked and all that. And I hate bringing up mass media, but Jay Leno, you go where he goes in on the street or whatever, and he asks people who the president was, or just simple questions like that, and they don't even know. And these people are voting.
Or how about being involved in hands-on community service activities?
Well, I was in India for about a month, and I was volunteering at Nightingale's Elder Care Center. And they do a lot of different things. They offer rural health care clinics where they go to the different villages and give health care to the elders there. They have projects where they help out the underprivileged elders in the cities, as well as having a center for the middle-class citizens.
Maybe it's speaking out about the things you believe in.
I am very outspoken about how people perceive youth as they don't care, they don't want to be involved, but I want to be involved. I want to show the confidence of youth and teenagers.
Racial discrimination, gender inequality, those kinds of things. I think when you actually view that in your own community instead of just reading about it, it's much different, and it makes you want to be active and want to do something about it. So I think that makes me think about not only education but activism.
Or maybe it's learning about what makes our government tick and the basics of how things work.
There is a basic set of knowledge that you need, and things that can be tested in terms of civics and government would be things like the 3 branches of government, checks and balances, the Bill of Rights, that type of thing, the process that a bill goes through to be signed into law. Things like that, just about understanding our government and how it works.
How do we learn what it takes to be a good citizen?
I think we kind of need to look back at why public education was created in our country, and one of the reasons was to prepare people to be citizens of a democracy.
Are we doing enough? Maybe we should start teaching kids about civics when they are 10 instead of 17.
A young man was talking about engaging 4th graders in service and in this kind of civic engagement piece. I just thought that was phenomenal. It's a great testament to the fact that it's important work.
When students are starting to finish their elementary school and the beginning of middle school, so around the 4th grade on, would be a good time for them to really get involved with the civic education.
Maybe we should strengthen the civics curriculum.
One of our incentives was to maybe include some stuff on civics, on diversity, on law, on the things that we're recommending on that exam, and then also require passing scores on that portion of the Michigan Merit Exam in order to receive the Michigan Merit scholarship, because that's a huge thing that I know a lot of high schoolers look at when going to college, is receiving that scholarship, and that's something that they count on.
I'm going to bring their recommendations to the staff people who are working on this and ask them to see that these recommendations are incorporated in. And if they're not, then when it comes back to us, we could ask a lot of questions and say some of these things should be incorporated.
Maybe we should offer more education options, such as longer courses or electives in law, debate, and politics.
We think that possibly expanding the curriculum and having civics a year long, but integrating law into that.
If I had to pick one thing, it would be a year-long course that could be divided into kind of the traditional civics first, how government operates, followed by a semester of law, practical law. And it would give the course an ability to connect with service learning and these interactive simulations. I really like that idea. I would love to make that happen.
Or could we make learning about civics more exciting by building in simulations, outside speakers, demonstrations, and field trips?
And one of the ideas that we had was like a competitive grant program for schools that did implement things such as simulations, field trips to civic things, and like debate teams or community service, things like that. So schools that showed exemplary civic education practices could apply for these grants.
What about involving organizations outside the schools?
When I was a freshman in high school, one of my teachers approached me and was like, hey, do you want to go to Michigan Youth in Government? It's a fun conference. You get to learn about how government works, how the legislative body works, and you get 3 days off school. Well, that was a selling point, being a freshman in high school, and I went, and I didn't really know much about government at that point, but it really pulled me in and made me have a drive for public service, not just government and politics.
It brought together young people and adults from all around the country who are involved in 4-H and other youth development organizations. And we talked about issues that are facing youth in the next 3 to 5 years and how youth development organizations and the government and schools could deal with those issues.
Is student council mostly a popularity contest? Maybe it could and should be more.
Student councils don't really have a lot of responsibility. They're mainly there for planning social events. If the student council is involved more with doing more things that deal with actual school governance, it'll be more effective and students will participate more.
Learning about civics could help us learn about diversity and build tolerance and understanding.
The first step towards tolerance is understanding. We're requesting a semester of a cultural diversity, or I think someone called it a social diversity class.
It could give youth a voice in the community, even on the school board.
Well, I think what we wanted to do was make sure that youth voices were heard and taken into account in a real, genuine way. We didn't want to just say that we care about helping youth and getting them involved and not to do it ourselves. So the Michigan team, we got together and we said, well, to have that genuine experience, we should get a group of young people together and have them meet and have them talk about the same issues out there in the state and how we can improve civic education and engagement and have it lead to all the good things that we know that happen.
Until there is 100% voting turnout, until there is 100% educated voters, I think there's more need for civic education, because that's the ultimate goal of democracy.
Can you come to a state board meeting and testify?
Just invite me.
Okay. Expect an invite.
Is your voice being heard? Are you involved in helping your community? What does being a good citizen mean to you?
If you don't become involved, things can't happen. And so you need to be able to learn to dialogue, and you need to be able to really give back to the community. And I think it starts very early in all kinds of youth organizations and schools. That's going to make a difference in what happens with our decision makers, whether it's at the township, county, or state or national level.